Very excited to talk to you about IT support.
We had a client of ours, a very small business, but had about 3 or 4 employees, and they had this generic account that they were using all across. One of them was using the account on their personal device as well. The personal device got attacked by a ransomware. That in turn got the business account affected as well.
How bad is saving passwords in Google Chrome?
Everything becomes like an open book for anybody to freestyle. IT is very expensive. That's not true. If it's done correctly, IT is actually very predictable and very cheap. There is a ransomware attack wherein they ask for bitcoins, your data gets encrypted, and that could only get decrypted if you fulfill the ransom.
What is that one thing they should do tonight?
Do MFA on all your devices, all accounts.
Welcome to Level Up with Priyanka Shah. I'm sure every business owner or working professional would have had that one moment where either your laptop crashes or your emails are not syncing or the Wi-Fi is not working and you're just sitting there thinking, what should I do next? And that is why today's guest is so important. Hussain is a computer doctor and the owner of Computer Cures, which is an IT-based company in Melbourne helping everyday business owners and working professionals like us resolve IT issues without needing a dedicated IT team. So if you have felt stuck with tech before, this episode is right for you. Al, thank you for joining us today. Very excited to talk to you about all things IT support because, again, coming from personal experience, I have my own business. I do a lot of things around my business, which includes sales, working with my team overseas, admin, etc. And we don't have a dedicated IT support function as such. And if anything breaks from a technology point of view, I am completely stuck. I have no idea what to do. So help us, what would be something that anyone like me who don't have a dedicated IT support, what should be the 5 things that we should make sure that we look into and take care of?
See, this is something that is very common with small business owners because they don't prioritize IT until something breaks.
Correct.
So they have this notion in their head that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And that's a very wrong way to look at it because IT is a very important aspect of your business.
Yeah.
As an IT person, my advice for small business owners would be to look at having a proper setup.
Okay.
That would be either Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace.
Okay.
You would also want to have proper online backups happening.
Sure.
Just to make sure if something goes wrong, we've got something to go back to.
Yeah.
You would also look at having some sort of security measures in place in terms of cybersecurity,
Sure.
which is now a very big threat
Yes.
and ongoingly becoming more dangerous.
Sure.
So you would want to look at those aspects as well as having a very reliable network because everything runs on the network nowadays.
Sure.
So these are some of the things I would actually want small business owners to actually look at.
So this will be like a small business IT checklist.
Checklist, kinda, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you've got all this covered, you pretty much sorted, I would say.
Okay.
Until something extraordinary happens,
Sure.
you should be covered technically.
Okay. My question for this would be for cybersecurity. What programs or what apps should we look into?
See, with cybersecurity, you'll have to look at it in 2 aspects. One would be at the endpoint level, which is basically your local machines.
Yeah.
They need to be secured as well.
Okay.
And you would also want to look at it on a workspace level, wherein you would want to secure your M365 or your Google Workspace from threats online.
Sure.
So there are third-party applications available, packages available, softwares available that can be integrated with your 365 or
Okay.
with your workspace, and that would in turn take care of your back-end cybersecurity basically.
Okay.
You can even do it at your email level. So your emails, all incoming emails, outgoing emails can be monitored.
So that's different to multi-factor authentication.
That's different to multi-factor.
Okay.
That's an add-on to that. So
Right.
basically, with security, you're talking layers and security then.
Okay.
So MFA is something that is mandatory nowadays. It is something that everybody should do. It's
Yeah.
like that one thing that if I had to change in small businesses, I would have definitely done that.
Sure.
It's like to enforce that, to make sure that from your email accounts to your bank accounts to your cloud backups, everything needs to be on 2FA,
Sure.
basically.
Sure.
That's one way of making sure you're doing your bit from your end
Sure.
to secure your workspace, basically.
Okay.
So I would recommend that.
But there's more to it as well.
Yes.
We don't stop at that.
Nah, so that's just level one. Then you branch into more deeper levels of security, which is
Okay.
still available. And
Sure.
obviously, you need expert opinions for
Yes,
that.
yes.
It's not something you can do DIY.
Correct.
I will not recommend that. But yes, that's the reason why companies like us exist, to help you, breach that gap,
Okay.
basically. So with Computer Cures, we basically are Melbourne's most trusted, most trusted IT support for small businesses.
Sure.
We also do a lot of computer repairs and stuff, but that's an add-on to what we do.
Okay.
But basically, we provide you with expert technical solutions catered to your business,
Okay.
and we make sure that we are putting you to succeed in the IT space. So that's what we do in a
Okay.
nutshell.
I think and that's such an important thing, like especially for small businesses like us, because we don't have a dedicated
Exactly.
support team, we can rely on you guys to come and help with the initial
Exactly.
setup and even when things break.
Yeah, that's exactly where we come into the picture. A lot of times, small business owners have a very reactive approach versus a proactive approach,
Yeah.
which is what is a biggest
Sure.
gap I can see, in terms of them thinking that IT is very expensive. You spend a lot of money on IT, but
Yeah.
that's not true, because if you look at it in a way that if it's done correctly, if it's done properly, if it's planned out correctly, IT is actually very predictable
Okay.
and very cheap.
And it will save so many thousands of dollars in the end when things break.
Because the only time you end up spending money is when something breaks.
Yes.
So you spend money to get that rectified, to get that corrected, and that in turn makes that process that expensive.
Yes.
So I think that's the other mindset change that we need with small business owners, to think of IT as the primary aspect of their business,
100%.
and then move on to other things from there. So if they have that peace of mind, they should be okay.
Okay, perfect. And I
Yeah.
think that's good to know that there is options like this available
Yes.
where we can just call up and get you guys to do it, because otherwise
Definitely.
we may need to employ IT people and that's not feasible for
Yeah,
everybody. So
yeah. I mean, for smaller companies that thrive on tight budgets, it's always important to have somebody you can trust, who's not part of your organization but is
Yeah.
actively supporting you in these kind of important things.
Yeah.
And that's where exactly our company comes into the picture. Is we give you that peace of mind that come rain, come shine, we are standing there with you.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's a very important aspect of our business, to give you that ability to focus on things that you should on the business front,
Sure.
while we take care of the IT for you.
That's great. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that, Al. I think for someone like me who predominantly works from home, there's a lot of online meetings and
Yes.
things that happen. Like just literally yesterday, I was speaking with a client who was facing an IT issue at his end where
Okay.
he onboarded an employee and I think they set up his email, which ended up breaking his entire IT function, his emails, his Zoom, and everything for almost 3 days. Again, these could be small common issues.
Exactly.
Is there anything, or what should be the first thing that we should do when something like this happens?
Things like issues that you face during Zoom meetings, or when your emails start to not sync per
Yeah.
se, or your computer crashes. Things that you would actually want to do is, first, don't panic, because everybody does that. They start panicking and then they can't think. So
Yeah.
don't panic is my first answer to you. Secondly, you need to see what you can troubleshoot from your end. Like for example, if you've got issues with your Wi-Fi, try to see if you going to a router nearby helps you in increasing your signal strength, because a lot of times you would be sitting in a room, the router might be in another room, and that's what's probably causing the issue. Sometimes just rebooting the router fixes a lot of problems. But
Okay.
if you're looking at a long-term fix, you would look at deploying something like like a mesh system, which basically gives you seamless bandwidth throughout the property, and
Okay.
you don't have to worry about where you're sitting.
Okay.
It just takes care of
That's for Wi-Fi.
for Wi-Fi. Yes. For emails, I would suggest if you're using emails that are through an app per se, like if you're using Outlook as your app for emails, you would need to then actually go and check whether you can log in through the webmail
Right.
and confirm whether it is an issue with the app or whether it is an
Okay.
issue with the email server itself. And then from there on, you need to then see how you can troubleshoot. But if it keeps persisting, you would need somebody to give you an expert opinion, because technically there is only so much you can do
That's true. And then
with the
you'll
with the
need.
knowledge that's there at hand.
Sure.
But there would be some things that we would be able to see which you could not.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Are there any common mistakes that you're seeing in your experience of working with small business owners where things they commonly get wrong, which can be easily fixed?
The most common thing that they get wrong is trying to manage the expense by doing very little. So say for example, a lot of business owners end up sharing credentials or sharing accounts. So they're like,
Right.
oh, I'll use one account because it's cheaper and we all will work from one account. And then what happens is when that account gets compromised, everything goes down. So that's a very big mistake. And then you don't have accountability. So you don't know who's doing what.
that? Yeah.
So that is a very common mistake I've seen, wherein they're basically just sharing credentials, sharing logins, and that's something that's wrong.
Okay.
You need to make sure that you have your work sorted. Each user has their own account. Each user uses a work device, because a lot of times what happens is you merge your work and your personal stuff on the same device, and that in turn could be vulnerability, because you might be doing something on your personal space
Yeah.
which might end up affecting the business at the end of the day.
Right.
So you have to make sure that differentiation of workspaces is there. So don't use your work laptop for your personal stuff, don't use your personal stuff for work, just keep it separate.
So have two laptops ideally.
Ideally, I would say so, because at the end of the day, you don't want one to hamper the other.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I always pitch to all the small business owners, is to make sure that they have given specific devices to specific users, and that they're just using that, so that there is accountability. If somewhere something goes wrong, then it's easy to identify
Sure.
when, how, where, what exactly.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that gives you more clarity as well.
Sure. I
So,
think that's a good point. Again,
yeah.
guilty of doing that myself. But for someone like my business, because we work in the financial services industry, there's a lot of sensitive information that we deal with. What is the ideal setup from an IT point of view that you would recommend?
See, with sensitive information, and especially when it comes to collaborations, I would suggest things like using SharePoint as to your normal OneDrive maybe, because what happens with SharePoint is you can give levels of access to each user. So basically, even if it's shared data,
Sure.
you know which user can use what data and from which folders, rather than everybody having access to everything,
Right.
which is basically not right.
Which is also the case of Dropbox.
Exactly.
And
Because there's no user access there. So with SharePoint, you can actually put in that, okay, user A can just read, user B can just read and write, or can do neither, basically.
Right.
They can just see the folder, but they can't do anything with it,
Sure.
because they can't see the files. And obviously with organizations, the way the hierarchy is, you would always have users that would need access to certain things and users that don't need access to certain things. So that's a very good way of managing your data when you've got multiple employees and they're all sharing the same space for
Okay.
accessing the files. So
Sure.
yeah.
And also, again, coming a lot of my personal questions, but for someone like us who also have staff overseas working on things, I know we do have a VPN setup, but what kind of setup? And as someone who's maybe just starting out with that, what should we be looking into?
See, for somebody who's just starting out into a space wherein say you've got employees overseas, I would suggest you could you already have a VPN, but again, for collaboration, SharePoint is your best access point.
Okay.
Because you can map SharePoint drives on local machines as well.
Okay.
You can also go in the route of them accessing a certain device remotely. So you could have a virtual machine set up in Australia, and they are just basically logging into the machine here in Australia. So there's no data sitting on their end, nothing on their end. They're just, the only thing they're doing is just logging into the device here.
Okay.
And that way, what you're doing is you're making sure everything stays local. Obviously, they are accessing it from wherever they are, but the machine basically is a virtual machine that they're working on, and everything stays there. So nothing stays on their local devices. So there's no fear factor that something might get leaked from somewhere.
Correct.
So that's another way of getting it done as well. But for specific businesses, the way we cater it to them is we check what their requirements are, and based on what their requirements are, we tailor a solution for them that fits best for their scenarios.
Sure.
And then from there on, we get that implemented.
And you would also help in setting up a VPN if somebody does not have one.
Yes, definitely. We've got very skillful technicians who've got more than 20 years of experience on them. They do this day in, day out, so they know exactly what it is.
And they will come on site to do it?
We do both. We give on site and remote assistance. So in case if there are employees overseas that are having issues, we log in remotely and sort them out as well.
Okay.
So the support is through and through, basically.
Sure.
And there is no point in time wherein you would feel that, what do I do now? You would always know that, okay, Computer Cures is there to sort it out for you. So
sure.
Yeah, that's what our motive is, to give you that peace of mind, basically.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. And again, this could be for someone who's just starting out a new business. Okay, they don't have anything in place. What is the ideal setup that they should have?
The ideal setup, I think they should look at getting a proper system. So whether it's M365 or Google Workspace, getting proper cloud backups set up to start with. Security in terms of cybersecurity, whether it is at endpoint level or at the workspace level, both. And obviously have a proper reliable network. So if they have all these things, they should be okay.
Perfect. And how commonly do you see people Google up troubleshooting and IT issues and then failing and then getting into a worse situation?
Yeah, a lot. Because with AI becoming so accessible now, people try and do freestyling on everything, and then they end up making the situation even worse. So my advice for people who are doing DIY is, if you've done a fix and it's not worked, then let it go. Somebody else needs to look at it.
Okay.
Or if you're trying to guess the situation or a solution versus actually knowing that it's going to work, then you should stop there. Or if there are instances wherein you're doing something that's got access, data and security, all these things involved, don't risk it, because these things are sensitive and they need to be handled by people who know about that domain. So I would suggest do things that are less risky.
Okay.
But if it reaches the point where it's not working, don't push it. Just leave it at that point. So that should be then us doing it from there on.
Sure. And if we have to engage your company to help out, is it pay as you go or?
Yes, we basically provide both kinds of solutions. We can either do ad hoc services, which is pay as you go, or we can have a contractual wherein it's a year's worth of contractual agreement based on certain service parameters, service level agreements as well, and then that would include what we would be offering in that time frame. So both the options are available.
Sure, sounds good. And now with AI, which you just mentioned, AI coming in so strongly into businesses, how is it evolving in the IT landscape?
It's actually, to be very honest, for small businesses, it's actually going to be more advantageous, because a lot of hybrid and work from home, remote situations will start happening more frequently. What that means is there's a lot of less on-prem and more on cloud kind of work structure. So that allows them to scale without having to invest
Sure.
on-prem.
Yeah.
So scaling becomes easier. Your technologies, basically every function of your business would be touched by AI at some point in time in some capacity. So it'll make it easier as well as a bit riskier because you'll have to do it carefully. And the IT budgeting will become more predictable, more easier to plan, manage, because you would exactly know what you're going to be up for,
Fair enough.
rather than not sure what on-prem is going to happen. So that's advantageous on that front.
Sure.
And when it comes to on the employee level, it gives them more flexibility, more futuristic views of working on stuff. So
Absolutely.
it's a blessing, but you have to take it very carefully. I would put it that way.
Can't just go crazy
Exactly,
about it.
exactly.
Sounds good. I wanted to ask you some quick rapid fire
Sure,
questions as well.
sure.
What's your opinion between Mac and Windows?
Mac for hardware, Windows for software.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mac hardware, not a fan of Mac
Can you
software.
have both on?
You can. Yes,
Okay.
there are softwares that allow you to run Windows on a Mac environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So there are Parallels is one example that usually you can use to have. It's like a virtual machine running on your Mac, basically.
Is it ideal?
Some people still use it because they are like me who like the hardware but not the software. So it's a personal preference, I
Sure.
would say.
Sounds good. And cloud versus hard drive?
Cloud, anytime.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
one tool that every business must use.
One tool every business must use, I would say, would be either M365 or Google Workspace, because you need to have a structured system in place. If that's not there, then nothing works, basically.
Sure. And one thing that you will want to fix in every small business today.
I said that before. I said I'll fix MFA on all small businesses straight away because they don't enforce them. And this is something that I would get that enforced for sure.
I'll get it done straight away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problems.
Al, what is the worst thing that you've seen in a small business that happened because of an IT security or cybersecurity failure?
When it comes to the worst thing that I have seen is again more related to sharing credentials. We had a client of ours, a very small business, but had about 3 or 4 employees, and they had this generic account that they were using all across. And apparently one of them was using the account on their personal device as well. So what happens is the personal device got attacked by a ransomware, and then that in turn got the business account affected as well. And then they had like a downtime for about 3-4 days till the entire situation got resolved, and then we had to do like a proper cleanup for them, and then everything was then back to normal. But then that's like unwanted risks that you want to have, because this could have been easily prevented by having a proper account set up, having security measures in place, having a separate device for the workplace as well. So these are the small things that everybody needs to focus on to make sure that they are doing the bare minimum from their end.
Sure.
Because this is like you're giving an open invitation, like to people who want to work on your vulnerabilities, that okay, it's an open door, come and do whatever you want, kinda. So
True.
yeah, that's pretty much that. But similar situations on most of small businesses, because
It's a common thing.
yeah, it's a common thing because they try to pinch on where can we save in terms of money.
Yeah.
And that's where they get it wrong most
Sure.
of the time.
And it's not a big cost at
No,
the
at
in
this
the larger
point,
scale
no.
of things.
Yes. I mean, for a small business, as I said, IT needs to be paramount. And even if there is a small amount of cost involved in the initiation, it's in long term, basically you're saving thousands of dollars.
Sure.
So yeah, that's what I would recommend all the small business owners to, review their strategy. There's lack of documentation also. That's the other thing I've seen with small businesses. There's no documentation. So there's no documentation, there's no IT strategy policy, there's nothing in place. So it's basically completely freestyled, completely it's like, okay, it's running, let it run, there's no problem. That kind of an attitude. But then, as you said, when it breaks, everything stops.
Also, it's not the right strategy for a business who would want to grow as
Grow,
well.
exactly.
So,
And this is the other thing that I've seen is once the business is started, it's doing well, and now they feel, oh, okay, we want to scale up, and they're like, okay, the foundations itself is not kept correctly, so how would you scale up from
True.
there? And then they go through that whole process of correcting everything that was done previously to get it all right, and then that's where the costing comes into
yeah,
place
because
as
you
well.
have to undo and redo a lot of the things.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things, small things that go unnoticed.
Sure.
But with a small amount of time that you can spend, or have a small consultation with an expert to give you a better idea of how to manage your IT,
Yeah.
you could actually do away with all of these things. So
Okay.
you would actually save like 80% of your IT costs if you do it correctly.
I'm definitely taking mental notes, and you'll hear from me after this as well. Tell me one thing: how bad is saving passwords in Google Chrome? I think everyone is
Everyone
guilty
does
of
that,
that. Yeah.
yes. What we usually recommend is you use a password management software. Things like LastPass, which are 2FA safe basically, so you can't get into them unless you have a 2FA code basically. With Google passwords, the only concern is if there's a browser malware or a hijack that happens, everything comes into play, in the sense all your account credentials are saved there, your subscription credentials are saved there, so everything becomes like an open book for anybody to
Sure.
freestyle.
Sure.
So that's something that we would also recommend, that rather than saving on browsers, invest in getting like a LastPass or Bitwarden
LastPass,
or
okay.
anything like that, that allows you to save passwords securely.
Sure.
And that basically is a cloud software, so you can even have an app on your phone, and then just use that to search for a password even if you're not in front of your machine.
Okay.
It's very accessible, very
It's more
secure.
handy. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the right way to do it. All major companies do it, so they all have these password management softwares.
I'm definitely installing that. Thank you. Wanted to know a little bit more about hacking, like phishing emails. How do we? Can you describe a phishing email? Because I get emails from ATO all the time. How do I even know what is real and what is not?
Yeah, so the first thing you need to first check is the email address. This is one thing nobody checks. So
Okay.
if it is an email from ATO, it can't come from a Gmail account,
Okay.
because they would have their own personal domain to send
Yeah.
emails from. So that is the first thing you would want to go and check, is what is the source, where is it coming from, and then verify the content, whether what it is saying, is it actually making any sense, or is it any truth. I've had clients saying, oh, I've got emails from McAfee and Norton saying that my subscription is expired, but I've never used them. I said, see, if that's the case, then that is a clear indicator that it is a
Yeah.
scam. A lot of times we have seen that, and this usually happens with senior citizens because they're not that tech savvy.
Correct.
And what happens is they end up clicking on links and allowing notifications. And those notifications in turn have pop ups coming up now and then saying, oh, your data is breached, you've been hacked, call this number. And poor thing, since they are in that age state, they panic, and then
Correct.
they end up calling those numbers, and then those numbers then end up doing a remote into their devices.
Oh.
And there have been numerous occasions wherein a lot of seniors have fallen for that. And my advice is, if it is something that you don't relate to, don't
Just
don't entertain it completely, because that's one way you are making sure that whoever is trying to do whatever, you're not allowing them to do that. And ideally, with a lot of these kind of emails, you can actually block them. So you can just put a flag on them and say block this particular sender, so you don't end up receiving emails from those particular emails, So those are small things that you can do. When it comes to larger organizations, when it is a bigger breach or whether there is a bigger incident, then it needs to be handled more on the M365 level or the workspace level, wherein you would need expert advice to see what exactly is happening, where the actual leak is from, and then remediate it that way. So user consumer level, you can do is look, see, and then react. Don't react without looking at. So that's my advice.
Investigate it a little bit more.
And don't panic, because the biggest thing that these people do is they want you to panic and do something while you're panicking, and that is their door to get in, basically.
Okay, sure. I think that is a life advice. Yes. Do not panic in any situation.
Do not panic.
But if a business gets hits, what is the total cost? Like, not just ransom, if everything added up, what does it cost?
It all depends upon what exactly has happened. It could go from a few thousands to the sky is the limit. But then the damage basically is assessed based on once our team goes there and sees what's exactly happened. So it's very difficult to determine what exactly a cost of damage would be. It differs from situation to situation. So yeah.
Are there ransom demands as well?
Yes, there's quite a lot of times wherein there is a ransomware attack wherein they ask for bitcoins. So your drive and your data gets encrypted using a specific encryption. And that could only get decrypted if you fulfill the ransom. So in that case, and that's the main reason why we say do backups, because if that happens and you have a backup, you can at least restore to a day or two prior, which is a sizable amount you can afford to lose. But then if you don't have a backup, you just are at the mercy of the hacker, just paying the ransom what they are asking for, which is not something that we encourage. And that's the reason why when we go and educate the businesses, we focus more on daily backups or doing backups more regularly. So even if something happens on one specific day, you can at least go back to the previous day.
But the cloud system would back it up automatically, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are in a cloud environment, you're less likely to fall prey to these.
Yes, most likely, yes.
Okay.
Most likely, yes.
Sure. And do you know what the average ransom demands in Australia are?
They ask very crazy amounts of bitcoins, basically. So yeah, it's dependent on what kind of business it is and what has got affected, and that's where everything lies. So these people already know what they are looking at getting from you, basically.
Sure. And say, for example, if a business earning 500K, $500,000 annually is down for 2 weeks, do most businesses recover, or is it like the end of the story?
No, it's not the end of the story. They do recover, but it does take time. It's not something that happens straightforward. But then that's the reason why this proactive measures of having policies in place is so important, so that you don't end up in these kind of situations. And that's why the first thing that I would ask any business who's starting up is to have a proper, clear IT policy for them. And basically, once you have that in place, you don't fall prey to these kind of issues. This is like lack of planning that's causing you in the running future. So
fair enough. No, that makes sense. And maybe let's talk about having the right measures in place and how to avoid this. And if we wanted to talk numbers, how much does actual protection cost? Like, if I wanted to go on a monthly plan, what would it cost, and what can it give me and prevent for me?
So basically, when we do our plans, it's more upon the size of the organization, the products that they're using. So it can go from probably even $30 a user
Okay.
to even $80-90 a user, depending upon what kind of protection is in place, what backups are happening. Some people want to have their drives backed up, which are shared drives. Some people want to get their emails backed up as well. Some
Yeah.
people want to get the entire workspace backed up. So that is there. Plus, some people would want, email security installed, which are again third-party software. So they have their
They
own
have that.
packages. So it varies from probably $30 to about $90 a user.
Okay.
But that's a rough estimate. I mean, obviously, the actual quote only comes when we actually do like a proper audit.
Sure.
So for any business we first analyze what their situation is. That's basically part of the audit that we do. Once the audit is done, there is a proper code that is formulated for each aspect of protection and service that we would be offering, and then you would get an overall cost on what you would be looking at, a recurring monthly
Sure.
fee or a yearly fee or an ad hoc fee, basically.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, but it's still not a huge cost when we compare
Not
and think
exactly.
about it could save us 50 or 100K in the future. So
Exactly.
perfect. And thank you for that. I'm just doing a quick checklist, a security checklist for small businesses. So we'll just go through that. I think you've answered some, but we just go through that again.
Sure.
What password manager would you recommend?
LastPass, I would say.
Okay.
Easily.
How does 2FA work in simple terms?
So basically, two-factor authentication is authorizing your access to a particular account. So it's mainly either linked to an authenticator app or to your phone number. So you can do it in two ways. So it could either send a code to your phone or a code on the authenticator app. So there's Google Authenticator, there's Microsoft Authenticator that we usually recommend. And the authentication is basically for the fact that we want to make sure that the person who's trying to log into the account is the rightful owner of the account.
Okay.
And that can only happen when these two things are there. So your phone number will only be with you.
Yes.
And if it is an authenticator app on your phone, that phone is registered as an authentication method in the back end. So that phone basically becomes your identity. So
Sure.
your phone will always be with you.
Yeah. And
So
it will
and
use that.
the phone, even if it's there with you, it's either locked by a fingerprint or a face ID. So that's way of identifying that, okay, if a person X is trying to access a particular account, whether he is the rightful owner of the account. And that's the basis of stopping people from, illicitly accessing your account.
Sure.
So it's a way of you saying, this is my firewall. You're not going to cross this until I give you permission. So that's in simple term how 2FA works.
No, thank you for
basically.
sharing that.
No problems.
We see that a lot of Australians lately are working from home. How secure is that when we think about all these issues?
As I said, it is secure. A lot of larger organizations have this policy of using their company devices. So there is a method of setting up devices and giving it to users. It's basically called out-of-box experience. So everything is set up from the IT of the company, shipped to the user. The user just logs in with the credentials.
Okay.
So everything on that device is managed by the company in the back end. So may it be access to USB ports, may it be access to doing things like installing programs, uninstalling programs, all that stuff is handled by the company in the back end. It's a norm that is being used is something called as Microsoft Intune. So Intune basically is a way of setting up these MDM devices, managed devices.
Okay.
Can be done on Apple as well.
Sure.
And they have their own method of getting the MDM installed. It's through an iCloud account.
Okay.
But a lot of these companies do this because it gives them more control.
Okay, fair
So
enough. And
the security, the access, everything is managed by the company.
And it helps avoiding
Exactly.
issues in the future.
Exactly.
Perfect. Again, sometimes I come across where my kids could log into my computer and use for gaming and etc. Is that a risk?
Yes, because we don't know which websites they are visiting, unless you have a different profile created for them
Okay.
that they can log into and do whatever they want. That is fine, because then there's no access to your
Any of the-
profile or your data or your programs there.
Okay.
But yeah, with kids, it's always better to make sure they have their own devices that they work
They
on.
use it.
Yeah.
Sure, fair enough. And also smart home devices like Alexa, Google Home, any risks associated with
Not
that?
exactly. They're basically helping you to automate your home, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't see a risk there. The only risks I see is probably using robo vacuums,
Okay.
because there was a thing that came out in the news that since the robo vacuums have got cameras inbuilt, that can be hacked into to breach privacy.
Wow,
Because
never knew that.
when you set up the robo vacuum, it does a map of the house. That's how it does.
Yeah.
So basically, that vulnerability is there. So a lot of these non-branded robo vacuums going cheap
Right.
are vulnerable. If you're doing it from proper bigger companies like Dyson or something like that's a different story then.
Right.
But the cheap ones I would avoid.
Wow, never thought
Never
about
thought.
that. Right. Okay, and emails are where most of these scams and hacking and everything happen. How, like, a lot of, you've said that Google Workspace could be an option. So is that a safe option because we're using Gmail through that?
Yeah, see, if you're using for businesses,
Yes.
I would say Workspace and M365 is the way to go for business emails. For consumer emails, I would still recommend using Google, Gmail, or Outlook, which is again Exchange Online from Microsoft in the back end. So these are, well-known secure email service providers that have got back-end development going on every now and then, so there is less risk of breaches there. A
Sure.
lot of these scams happen on legacy emails like Big Pond, Optusnet,
Right.
Westnet, which are basically used by people who are in that age bracket of maybe 45 to
Yeah.
70,
Yeah.
who've got like legacy mails of 20-30 years running on them, and that's where that vulnerability comes into the picture.
Right.
With Gmail, Outlook, there's very little that I've seen. Hotmail, yes, has happened quite frequent, but again they have that policy of you can secure the account by getting in touch with Microsoft.
Sure.
And they do have a retention policy of I think a couple of weeks for emails. In case if they're deleted or something, you can still get them back. So they have those preventive measures, so those are a bit safer to use versus the old legacy ones like Big Pond and Westnet and Optusnet, and that's where the problem comes.
Okay, sure. Thank you for sharing that. I think for cloud storage, coming to it, where on a personal level, a lot of people use Google Drive or
Yes.
Dropbox.
Yes.
Is it sensitive for saving things like your taxation documents or banking statements, etc.?
No, so I would say your OneDrive or Google Drive or Dropbox, again, if it is secured by two-factor, you're pretty safe on that front. Again, the only way people can get access to that is by accessing your account, by accessing your device somehow. Whether you give them a remote access to somebody who calls you and says, oh, I'm calling from Telstra, I need to do a speed test to check if everything's working fine. You're not even on a Telstra network, but then you still agree, okay, let's do it. So you have to be mindful on what you're giving to whom. Okay, and not everybody calls is from Microsoft and Telstra, so you have to be
a little
inclined
more
on
smart
that.
about
Yes.
that. Yeah, sure. And again, online banking as well. We all do it.
Yes.
Online browsers and banking apps.
Yes.
Is it still okay to do?
It is still okay. What we usually do is when we give security solutions, like we usually do Trend Micro security for consumers, basically, home users, consumers. And Trend Micro by default has something called as a safe browser, or a browser that basically gets initiated the moment it detects that there is some monetary transaction associated with that particular website. So the moment you log on to your banking site, your normal browser goes down and the Trend micro browser comes up,
Okay.
and you use that, because what that does is it makes sure that you're not going onto a site that appears to be your banking site but it is not.
Okay.
So safe browsers is something that is, I think, included in most antiviruses or internet securities nowadays. So Norton has it, Kaspersky has it. So that is something that I would say that people, if they're doing banking through online from your devices, then use that as an option, because
Okay.
that's a safer option than your
Trend
normal
micro.
browser.
Okay.
Yeah, with phones it's very safe.
Okay.
Your apps are very secure. Unless you give access to the phone to somebody, nobody can do anything with it.
Okay. And doesn't matter if it's Apple or Android.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. They're both
They're
solid. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And if for someone who has never thought about digital security, what is that one thing they should do tonight before they go to bed?
Do MFA on all your devices,
Okay.
basically.
Which I
all
will.
accounts. All accounts, whether it is your email, whether it is your bank account, just make sure that there is two-factor running through and through.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get it done. And I think, closing statement, just wanted to check, have you ever been hacked?
Not yet.
Oh,
Touch
good.
wood.
The
Touch
doctor's
wood.
safe.
Yes.
Sounds good. But thank you so much for sharing
thank
all that,
you.
Al.
Thank you for having
It was a
me,
pleasure. I know we went on longer than
That's
expected,
fine. That was good.
but
Good fun.
we got a lot of information out.
Thank you so much.